Good day. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do completing of the square. You can use this on equations like I do in this video. You can also use it on expressions, other places in maths. We're going to explain the technique using these three equations, but you'll see I first do completion of the square and then I solve for x at the end. Then you can use the technique anywhere in maths up to where you have to solve for x. You will see whether they give me an equation and say complete the square and solve for x, or they give me an expression like this and say complete the square. The technique will keep working. The first thing you must make sure of is that in front of the x square there is nothing. In other words, there's a +1 here. By the second and third example you'll see what I mean. But here we are lucky. The first equation that we have, quadratic expression up to there, has got a +1 in front of the x squared already. Firstly, you write x squared, then his x friend, leave a big gap and write the -7 equal to 0 is not very important in the beginning. The second important thing is you take the thing in front of the x, the quotient of x, you divide it by 2 and use it. Like I said, you take the thing in front of the x, you put it in a bracket, divide by 2, close the bracket, square, and you add it into this expression or equation. Because you brought something into this equation or expression now, you've got to take it out again. So you minus that same thing out again. Now you have actually completed the square already. Now you put down a bracket with a square on the outside, and we'll have two things in here and two things over here. Don't worry too much about the numbers. You square root this x squared and you write the answer there, which is x. Then you take the thing inside the bracket here and write it here with its sign. Then you might want to work out this little piece and get the answer and bring down the -7. This is not complicated. In this case, just to make it neater, you can work out that 6/2, it will give you a +3 here. And you can add these using your calculator and get this answer still equal to 0. You haven't involved the equation yet. Now you have a perfectly completed square standing over here equal to 0. From here now we can solve for x. We have one x alone here and we can move the stuff away from x, furthest guy first. You +16 on both sides, then you'll have this. Now you've got to get rid of this square. To do that, you square root both sides. The square here will fall away and you'll have a plus minus the square root of 16 on the right hand side. We now have two possible answers coming out of here. This is a nice number, so x plus 3 is equal to +4 or x plus 3 is equal to -4. We now break it up into two separate equations. And then we solve for x separately. Then you have your final answer, x is equal to +1 or x equals to -7. Please stop the video and get your brain around this. Here is my next equation, and I'm again going to do completion of the square to help me solve for x. But that's not the intention. This video is to show you how to complete the square. With this technique, we bring everything to one side, equate it to 0. Then I said we need to get this x squared to have a +1 in front of it. So I need the x squared clean. So I need to divide everything by 2. This might take you a moment to catch. You pull out a common 2 as a common factor. 2 times x squared will give you that. 2 times -5 will give you that. And 2 times this will give you that. You can just take this one, divide it by that one to get that answer over there. But that you've got to get your head around yourself. Put square brackets here, we got this 2 hanging on with us. Then I told you, you have to shift these terms away from each other. Keep your x squared, keep his x friend, big gap over here, and move this guy further down the line. Keep my brackets equal to 0. Then we take the quotient of x, the thing in front of x, divide it by 2, and use it. So you write plus, the thing in front of x, divide by 2, all squared. Remember to bring your sign along. Because you brought something new in to this expression or equation, you have to take it out again. So we minus the same thing. You bring your 2 down, you bring the square brackets down, you bring in a new set of round brackets with a square on the outside. Square root of x squared, you write here. That's x. Then you take the answer inside this bracket and you write it here with its sign. Then you work out this piece with the minus and you write it here. And you bring down the minus 3 over 2. Then use your calculator to add these two like terms. More simplified, it will look like this. Now we have to take this 2 and times it into this bracket there and all the way through to there. Now we have totally completed the square and we have the answer here with our equation that we haven't used yet. Now we can solve for x. There's one x over there and we can move the stuff away from x, furthest guy first. Like I said, the main purpose of this video was completing the square, which we've now done. Now if this was an equation, we could now solve for x. And like I said, we move the stuff away from x, furthest guy first. We take this minus 31 over 2 and we plus it on both sides, we get to this step. Then we divide by 2 on both sides and we get this answer on the right hand side. Then you square root both sides to get rid of that square. Remember to put a plus minus in your next step. So you get x minus 5 over 2 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 31 over 4. Now we have two equations in here again. Careful, I square rooted this 4 and it became a 2. So I get x minus 5 over 2 is equal to plus this, or x minus 5 over 2 is equal to minus this. Your final answer will look like this on a calculator. You can also round it off if they ask you to. Please stop the video and make sure you understand what happened from the top to the bottom. The question would have said, use completion of the square to solve for x. Let us quickly run through one more. We want to complete the square again. Already everything is on one side. You've got to get the x squared clean, so I need a plus 1 here. You factorize a minus 1 out of this expression, and it will look like this. You shift the minus 7 far down the line. You take the quotient of x, the thing in front of x with its sign, divide it by 2 and use it. So you plus that I just mentioned in a bracket square. Because you brought it in, you minus it out again. Keep all your brackets that you had and the minus. Bring in an extra set of round brackets with a square on the outside. Square root of x squared comes here. The thing in that bracket with its sign comes here. I just simplified it. The answer of that piece I write here. And you bring the minus 7 down. Then we simplify this rear part using your calculator, get minus 16. Times the minus 1 back into the square bracket. So minus 1 goes there. Minus 1 times this. Minus 1 times a minus gives you a plus. Now we finished completing the square. We can now solve for x in this equation. You minus 16 on both sides. You divide by a minus on both sides. You square root both sides and remember to bring in a plus minus on the right hand side. Then we have two equations. X plus 3 is equal to plus or minus 4. So x plus 3 is equal to plus 4 or x plus 3 is equal to minus 4. Final answers, x is equal to 1 or x is equal to minus 7. Please stop the video and get your brain around this. Please indicate whether you liked or disliked the video and subscribe to the channel. If you run into any problem on school mathematics that you're not sure about, you can send us a clear WhatsApp photo of your problem to this number and a clear WhatsApp photo of where you tried it. Then we will try and solve the problem and send back an answer to you as soon as possible. Enjoy completing of the square.